I think personally it's critical. If you're not using credit cards, I think you're missing out on a lot, really.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to A Reseller's Journey. Here is your host, eBay Joey.
Welcome to A Reseller's Journey Season 2. I am your host, eBay Joey. Today's guest is a veteran reseller. He has over 8,500 followers on Instagram, and you can find him posting all of his finds from retail stores to thrift stores to outlets. He goes by the name Relentless.Resell, but his gym buddies call him Carlos, aka Los, aka the Innovator, aka #1 Dallas Cowboy fan. Welcome and thank you for being on the show.
What's up? The intro was fire.
Hey, bro, you're fire, man. I'm excited you're finally on the show.
I appreciate it, man. It's an honor. It's an honor.
Yeah, man, we've been working on this. I think even during season 1, you had a lot of things going on, so we had to reschedule. But I'm glad that we finally made it.
Yeah, you're patient, man. I appreciate that. I'm all over the place, so I apologize for making you wait, man.
I think you're on vacation. I think these vacations, man, they just got in the way.
Yeah, the traveling vacations. Yeah, you got to live a little. You got to have fun. You got to have fun.
That's it, man. So I'm very excited for this interview. I think a lot of people want to know your journey. So let's get it started. How did you come up with your name, Relentless.Resell?
All right, cool. That's a good question. Relentless Resell. I've never actually been good with names, right? So for the longest time, I struggled. I was like, man, what can I call myself? What can I call myself? And then one day I was sitting in a class, and they had this military guy, this veteran guy, come in and like tell a story, and really inspiring because the guy went to like Iraq and whatnot, and he actually he had gone over there and what do you call those where you like check for mines?
I'm not too sure.
Well, he was like checking for mines, and one went off, but he survived, and he had he had to overcome a lot of things, and then I was like, man, that guy's relentless. Like he doesn't give up, and I was like, I gotta be like that guy. And then I was like, you know what? That's what I could be. I was like, I could be relentless as well, just like this guy. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, all right, cool. Let's make this. Let's call myself Relentless. And then what do I like to do? Resell. And then I mashed them together, and that's how literally how it came up.
Yeah, well, good thing you didn't put resell.relentless because that wouldn't sound as cool.
Yeah, that'd be backwards, huh?
Backwards. So where are you based out of?
I'm actually based out of Orlando, Florida. The Sunshine State here.
That's right. That's right. Were you born and raised in Orlando, Florida?
No, man. I was born in Mexico, San Luis Potosí.
Okay.
And I was born in Mexico, and my parents brought me over when I was 3, though. So I'm 28 now, so 25 years I've been here. And I only went back to Mexico once.
Okay. So do you speak Spanish?
I do, fluently. Yep.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That's good to know. So are you doing this full-time or part-time?
I'm doing it full-time now. I just transitioned. It's been about a month and a half, and I finally took the plunge, and it's full-time reselling now.
Yeah. What were you doing before this, before you decided to go full-time?
So before I was full-time, I worked at CarMax, the car dealership. I was there part-time every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I was taking classes, 3 classes. So it's like in between part-time and full-time at UCF. And I was doing that Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and then part-time with CarMax and reselling throughout the week as well.
Yeah. How long were you at CarMax for?
I was at CarMax for 7 years.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, not bad of a company. My cousin worked for CarMax, and one thing that I liked about them is that they would have like a lunch in if they hit their numbers. Like if you guys but we're talking like some good places, some good catering, man.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's the hardest part. I think that's what kept me there so long is they literally brought like they always catered Chipotle, they catered this barbecue place across town, pizza. So everyone's always trying to hit their numbers, and I was like, yeah, we about that. That's in free lunch. And they paid for my tuition.
Really?
That's a big reason why I stayed as well, was that they paid for my college tuition. Every semester they give you an allowance.
What were you doing at CarMax? What was your job title?
My job title was inventory associate.
Okay.
So, like handling all the cars, all the transfers that came in, dealing with the inventory, and managing all of the cars.
Now, did you deal with the auction side of the business?
No, that was the buyers. I didn't
Okay.
deal. And then we handled a little bit of the auction, but that was on Mondays, and I never worked on Mondays, so I didn't ever deal with any of the auction stuff.
So just to understand this, you're working part time, you're going to school full time or part time at that point.
At that point, I was flip flopping. It was
Okay.
3 classes, 4 classes, so it's between
Uh,
full time and semi
yeah.
semi.
Depending on the units, and on top of that, you're reselling.
Yeah, and reselling and
Okay.
all by myself too. So it's kind of juggling everything as it goes.
Cool, man. Now, what motivated you to get into the reselling, not only part time, but then let's say make the plunge to full time?
Well, the big motivation was that I've never liked to work for somebody,
Mm.
and I mean, I've worked working at CarMax 7 years, except for 7 years. I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I never had a weekend off. I could hang out with my friends, and then I'd have to go, and they only pay me like $14 an hour after taxes. I was sitting there, and I'm like, man, I made like a few sales today, and I made like what I make in 2 weeks in one
Yeah.
day, and I'm like, this is rough, but I don't know. That's kind of like what really drove me to finally like being every Thursday, the dread of like wanting to go to CarMax or having to go to CarMax or
Hmm.
just a part-time job and then take orders from everyone and kind of like rushing you and the stress and working in the heat. I was like, nah, I gotta get out of here, especially with like reselling. You make way more and you're on
Yeah.
your own boss.
Yeah, your own boss, your own schedule. It's interesting because I deal with cabinet makers, Los, and every cabinet maker is their own boss. But I asked them, I said, hey, like, why is it that you want to start your own business? And they said, I just don't like listening to anybody. Like, I don't want another grown man telling me what to do, when to come in. And it's funny because almost every cabinet maker has the same personality. So it's mainly a personality thing that I think even resellers want to go full time, right?
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, you have to have a drive in order to succeed, and my drive was just simply I've always been better at working for myself.
Mhm.
I'm very self motivated, and the freedom of traveling too. Like every weekend, I'm stuck at work. I can't just pick up and go whenever I wanted to. So,
Right, right. Um, what kind of what kind of platforms are you doing business on?
Go Poshmark, a little bit of Amazon, and I
Okay.
mix and match it between all the different platforms that I can.
Yeah,
Local.
which one do you like the most?
My favorite has to be hands down the Go
Yeah.
platform, just because it's so easy. I mean, you can bulk put all your items on there before you even leave the store.
Yeah.
By the time I get home, I just pre-box them and I label them and say they're on Go, and then they're on Poshmark,
Yeah.
and there's no returns. You don't have to speak directly to the customer. I mean, it's just so clean, so easy.
Yeah, man, I see a lot of boxes for the people that are listening. You can't see it on, but you can on YouTube. You have a lot of boxes back there, Relentless.Resell. So how many items do you currently have in your inventory?
Right now, I am at about close to 3,000 shoes in
Wow.
inventory. They're all pre-boxed and sorted, whatever. But yeah, about 3,000 shoes, close to it, almost there.
Wow. What's the goal for you as far as inventory wise?
The goal was to hit like 200,000 in inventory, and I am there. So the next goal would probably be another 100,000 in inventory.
Okay.
And just to, I feel like when I get the inventory higher, the sales are just consistent, and I don't have to really worry so much about. So, I got to go out and find more stuff tomorrow, or oh, I got to go out. So I'm finally at that point where I don't have to worry about like, oh, I got to go out every single day.
Yeah, so it looks like you can withstand a dry spell or a storm, or if there's floods out there, as far as in reselling the term flood.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. Like when I remember when I first started, floods was a big thing. I was like, man, I don't know if I can commit to $1,000 or $2,000
Yeah,
for these shoes because it's gonna sit there for 2 3 months.
yeah.
But as you go on, the stuff that right now is considered a flood to me, I'll pick it up because all the stuff from the previous flood,
Yeah.
is what's selling now. So
Yeah.
later, when the new flood comes, this current flood stuff will sell then. So it's like a cycle now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You're free.
And that's interesting because I just had some sales this month in December on eBay and Go, and a lot of these sales were from items that I picked up 180 days ago, 190 days ago, and I
I'll
and I'm
post
like I'm like, man, I bought this in June or July,
it.
and I'm just selling it now. So I think for a lot of resellers out there that are, they're brand new in the game, or maybe they're seasoned, there's times you got to weather the storm. Like what you find today is not what you sell tomorrow.
No, you got to think about that future result, the end goal, and I couldn't agree more with that.
Awesome, awesome. So what does the business model look like? What are you trying, is it a margin you're looking at, or is it a dollar amount you're looking at? What's going through Los's mind when you're buying a shoe?
When I'm out innovating, baby. Yeah,
That's
man,
right.
for sure. So when I pick up a shoe, I look at the comps and I look at worst case scenario. Like if worst case scenario is not doubling my money, I won't snag the shoe. Like I
Okay.
have to be like, okay, I've had this shoe for 2, 3 months, a year, however long I've had it. If I were to clearance that bad boy, could I get double for that? And
Okay.
that will be the determining factor whether I pick that shoe up or not. Because I personally, which is okay, like I know people will scoop up a shoe and make 10, $15 and be like,
Yeah.
that's fine. But I personally don't like that, so I will try to avoid it as much as possible. Because then you have a lot of bad inventory that it's kind of stacks up and makes it difficult to sell, and you're putting in so much money. So for me, I have to pick up a shoe. If I pick it up for 50, I got to be able to make 50. If I can
Okay.
make more, then that's big. And I always price on the higher side.
Okay.
If it's 50 sells for 200, I'm not going to price it just to make 50. I'll price it at that 200.
So it sounds like you're pretty patient in this reselling game.
Yeah, very. That for me, I'm super patient. I don't try to compare myself with like sales volume for other people. I
Okay.
just know what I'm looking for, double down or more, and I'm willing to wait.
Yeah, in the beginning of you reselling, were you patient, or was it like, what was the process that you went through? Did you have any capital issues?
So when I first started, Hustlebee actually got me. He's the one who really like put me on shoes, and I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. We were both kind of like growing into it, and I was doing before that 2 years of thrifting, and I was already kind of like had a piggy bank, so
Okay.
capital wasn't much of an issue personally. I had a little chunk of change, but it was different transitioning from thrifted stuff where you have to pay like 10, $20 and now you're going to like 60, 80, $100.
Yeah.
It kind of scares you a little and you're like, I don't
Yeah.
know if I want to invest. But there wasn't really much capital issues, but I wasn't impatient either because the stuff I was picking up was mainly cleats. And it's
Mhm.
$20, you sell it for 60, you double. So I didn't
Yeah.
have too much problems with that.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I was going through my numbers this morning, and I sold a pair of socks, and I was like, okay, I'm trying to develop this 80-20 where, shoes are 80% of what I do, and then the other 20% is just like the little stuff, jerseys, maybe,
Yeah.
socks, this miscellaneous stuff. And I was like, man, like I sold a pair of socks, I bought it for $3, I sold it for 12, but I'm only walking away with $4. And I said, is this enough to like move the needle, Los, or is this something that I should just avoid? But it's like if you could buy something for 50, you'll make 50
Yeah,
instead of the sock game.
exactly. And that kind of reminds me because when I was doing the thrifting, I looked for just video games. And
Okay.
that sock model is exactly what video games are. Go to a garage sale, pick up like 50 video games for $1 each, and you sell them for 10 and you make like $5 a pop,
Yeah.
right? And the beautiful thing about that is that you can easily get a lot of it, but the amount of work is, quadrupled, and it's going to be
Yeah.
harder to scale that. And you're putting your time. I mean, if that's what you can only access at the time, then that's fine. But eventually, you want to kind of like progress to higher stuff. So for me, that's not an issue. Like that's not a problem buying socks and jerseys. But eventually, I kind of feel like you should scale up to bigger things.
Yeah, because I was thinking about that. If you're taking a picture and you're listing something, whether it's a $3 item or it's a $50 item, you're doing the
Mhm.
same work. So
Yeah.
why would you want to do the same work to profit less? And I think in today's reselling, game, you see a lot of people, especially they call them the low ballers, the undercutters. It's like you're doing the same amount of work, but then you're gonna make less money. Why do you think people are doing that? Relentless.
I think a lot of it has to do with like the the mindset, is I feel like it may be younger people, like a younger generation, like, oh, I'm gonna get my money moving quick, and I'm gonna just take whatever I can. Because there's even people that I would work with at CarMax, my buddies that would go on lunch break and
Hmm.
they'd go with me into a Ross, and we'd pick up a shoe, and he's like, oh, how much are you gonna make off that? And I was like, oh, like 50, 60. And he's like, why not pick up these? And I was like, well, it's only like 10. He's like, well, it's $10. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, but you gotta flip your mindset. I just think some people kind of like want to rush it,
Hmm.
and they just want money now. Like, oh, whatever, it's $10. Like that would be an hour at CarMax.
Yeah.
But when there's more money on the table, why undercut yourself? You know?
Exactly. It seems like a lot of resellers have tunnel vision, or they're just not looking with the right lenses. And for me, when I first started, man, I got into I was buying the Mike Trout baseball cleats, and they were like $5, and they had the box. And then I was like, I bought them for 5, and then I was selling them for 25. But I was in the field with low ballers, undercutters. I was really trying to learn the logistics. But I realized, like, once I grew and then scaled the business, Los, that it's better to deal with profitable items and smart inventory, because that's how you're really going to scale your business.
Yes, for sure. And it doesn't take as much of a toll on you. You
Yeah.
know, that's what I feel like. If you go out and you drive 2 hours out
Yeah.
and you find 10 sneakers and you come back and then you only make 10 when you can make 50 off each sneaker, you just threw away all that hard work that you put in.
Yeah.
And for me, like every single buy, I almost laughed because my cousin used to call me a hoarder. She's like, "You're hoarding stuff." I was like, "I'm not hoarding anything.
Yeah.
It's just each individual buy is a
Yeah.
personal close friend of mine, and
Right.
I
That's
don't
right.
want to. I don't want to just give it away. Like it. I remember what I had to go through to get it, what I
Exactly.
did, and I just don't want to give it away or give it up like that.
No, I agree, man. Earlier you mentioned that you worked at CarMax and you're in charge of inventory. Now with your business that you have now, and you have, $200,000 worth of inventory, did any of that help you manage where you're at now?
Well, it did. It actually did. Because when I first started, CarMax is super organized, right? Every car is accounted for. There's a reconciliation report every morning, and it has every stock number of every car, and they have a scanner, so they scan it all,
Hmm.
and they keep track. They have a system, and I didn't have a system to begin with. I just kind of threw everything in racks and threw everything in bins. And that works when you only have 100 shoes.
Yeah.
But as you keep going, as you keep growing, as you keep getting stronger and build all that
Yeah.
inventory, and you start innovating,
Yeah.
it gets a little out of control. And
Yeah.
when you got like 10 racks in your room and you
Yeah.
got stuff everywhere on the floors, on the
Yeah.
bed, under the covers,
Yeah.
and you can't find something, it becomes crazy. So I was like, okay, I got to build a system, kind of like CarMax. I have to have
Mm,
numbers. And originally, I thought about stock numbers, kind of like them, like number one, number two, number
mm,
three. But I was like, nah, that's not gonna work. There's got to be something cleaner. And so I said, okay, every shoe has a style number and they have a size. So now it just goes by every I pre-box everything. Everything gets labeled with a style number
mm.
and then a size, and and um and then I just put each shoe in, like the room here is like 6 to 6s, 7s, 8s.
Mm.
I just go to that size, go to the style number, pull it, and it's easy. So it did help. It did help because it kind of teaches you to be organized like a big, Fortune 100 company or whatever it is.
Yeah, and then how about the college aspect? Did that help you out with your business as well? And then tell us what's your major as well.
Yeah. So no, I wouldn't say college helped me out. College is kind of separate. from reselling personally because I'm majoring in software engineering. So
Okay.
there's not really a lot of business aspect to that. There isn't like they don't teach you business really bad. They don't really teach you anything about business. They teach you about coding and software.
Okay.
So can't really like put the two together. They're their own entities.
So, do you think once you get your degree and you go into software engineering, you want to pursue that rather than reselling?
That's the big struggle here.
Yeah.
That's the big struggle. And that's a question I ask myself every single day.
All
Because
right.
I love, and you got to the meaty greedy of it right
Yeah.
there. I wake up every morning and go, man. But I want to say it's like a safety net, but I don't want to say that college is like software engineering is a safety net because it's a major. It's something that people like go out there and bust their ass for.
Yeah.
But I love reselling. I love working for myself, and I love that the amount of work I put into it is how much I'm going to get out of it.
Okay.
So when I graduate and I get my degree in software engineering, if I work for someone, there's going to be a cap. There's always going to be a limit.
Yeah.
So I want to say that I definitely am going to find a job, try it out for a year or two, maybe, see how that feels. And if I don't love it, then maybe I quit and do this, still do it full time and kind of like grow it even bigger as it keeps growing, and maybe have that as a safety net. Or I could start my
Yeah.
own business with software engineering. I mean, there's just so many
Mhm.
routes, but I don't want to limit myself to just one thing.
Okay.
Different.
No, no, that's key, man. I think, there's a lot of resellers that if you have responsibilities as far as a family, you have kids to support, a wife, you're really limited as far as what direction you can go. But I think for you and a lot of young resellers is that, man, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's true. It's the freedom, and that's
Yeah.
what My mom's a big helper too. She tells me the same thing all the time. She's like, "Why are you still at CarMax? I mean, you don't have any real big financial. You don't
Yeah.
have a wife to maintain. You don't got
Yeah.
kids. When I come back upset, like, damn, I didn't find anything. I can't believe people are out here cooking me, taking my goodies." She's like, "What are you worried about?" I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "You don't got a wife, you don't got a girlfriend, you don't got to
Yeah.
maintain anyone. So why are you upset?" And I'm like, "Oh, you make a point." And not having all that baggage down for me, and I don't know disrespect to anyone who married,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but personally, it's a great strength. It is because I don't
Yeah.
have to worry about all of that.
Yeah. I tell people, man, when you get married, they want to tell you where to park, where to eat, what to wear. And so, man, I envy all the single guys out there or just single people in general, man. But I love, being a parent and being married, but it's
Yeah.
definitely a game changer, man.
It is, and my buddy Soupy is a really good friend of mine, Jeff. I don't know if you follow him or not, but super cool guy. He has a family, and most of the time I'm like, "Hey, let's fly out here," and he's like, "Nah, man, I can't. I got the family." I'm like, "Oh, you're right, I forgot." But that guy's such a hard worker, man, and it's crazy. But
Yeah.
that's also I also see it as a strength because
Mm.
on days where sometimes it's also a big strength though because if you got a family to feed, you gotta
Yeah.
go out there and hustle.
Yeah.
There's no games, like you see me in the stores kind of playing games, Burlington and
Yeah.
jokes and all that, and that's when I'm not finding anything and I'm like, whatever, let's just have some fun.
Right. Right.
But sometimes I wake up and I'm like, well, kind of don't want to, like, the motivation ain't there and I'll stay in. But when you got a family, you got to feed them, so you got to go out. So it's also a strength if you want to view it that way.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the stories. For people that don't follow you, man, and you do a lot of Instagram stories. I enjoy watching them all. And talk about like the creative aspect of you, coming up with these ideas. I think one of the funniest ones is when you put that Christmas jacket on and you just started dancing in the aisles, man. Talk about why you do that.
Well, I thought
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, I try to not take things seriously. Like,
Yeah.
when it comes to business, everything's serious, right?
Yeah.
But you have to have fun. You have to enjoy. At the end of the day, you gotta like what you do. And if it's like dry out, I'm kind of a really goofy person. Like I like to have fun, and I like to make people laugh. So it'll be random, spontaneous times. I'll see a jacket and I was like, oh, you know what? That would go great. It's Christmas. I'll put that bad boy on. I'll throw a little song, and we'll go ahead and cruise through the aisles, and it kind of comes up in the moment. It's not like I go out and I go, I'm gonna make a story today, but it's just kind of like in the moment.
Yeah, and I also noticed, man, I mean, you do have a large following, but I do notice that, people like to give you a hard time because you're a Cowboys fan and they start trolling you, but you run with it. Now, are most of these people like just friends or family members, or are these just random people that just started following you, just bust your chops?
No, they're random, dude.
Oh.
They stay trolling. They stay trolling. Yeah, it's funny you said that because the other day I wasn't in the best mood and someone sent me like a troll and I was like, man, get out of here, boy. Like, but at the end of the day, they're just out to bust your chops, and whether they mean it nicely or not, I never know. I could pay attention to it. Like, I just find it funny because not a lot.
It is funny.
I find it hilarious. If you go in there and troll me, I think it's funny. And even like I think you saw the one where the guy like meant it seriously. I don't take it seriously. I just shrug it off and use it. I use it as fuel to add to my funny stories, if anything.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about maybe doing like a YouTube channel or, taking it to the next step where it's on the internet forever?
Yes, I have. And today, I think I'm gonna drop the first video I was telling you about.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do YouTube, but I just see the amount of work that goes into that, and I didn't have as much free time. But now that I do have a little more free time with the quitting of the job and going full time, I think I will start doing a little bit of YouTube and see how that goes, just for fun at least. Not trying to like do anything wild, but.
Yeah, what can we expect to see from the channel?
So I think with the channel, it'll be kind of like it'll definitely be reseller related, because the following's reseller, and I think people enjoy seeing what I find. They see not just that, but I don't want to be like, go look at this, go buy this, go look at this, go buy this, because I feel like I don't want to be like very, oh, this is the only thing he does. Like I want it to be like, oh, you can relate to me, or you can. You can enjoy it, more of it like an entertainment, like my stories, kind of like you can follow along and see what it's like, whether it's having a good time out sneaker shopping, or do a little bit of traveling, different states, and what it's like when you travel and do resell, and kind of that. I don't have a pinpoint yet, but I think I could start it and later on develop what the main goal of the channel could be.
Yeah, do you have the name of it that we can let the audience know what it is? Or they can YouTube search it?
They can YouTube Innovator Lowe's, baby.
All right, there it is.
Innovator Lowe's.
We'll put a link below, man, once this episode airs. So I talked to you off air. I've got to know you and your business. We did the fantasy football league together. And I noticed that we started talking about credit cards. Like there's a lot of resellers that don't believe in credit cards. They like to use cash or debit. But I know that you like to use credit cards, and I think I've seen you post some stuff here and there. What's your take on credit cards in the reselling business?
I think personally it's critical. If you're not using credit cards, I think you're missing out on a lot, really. Because unless you have I understand there's people that don't have credit or bad credit, and that's perfectly understandable. But if you're building your credit, or if you have good credit and you're using debit cards or cash, man, you're really stepping on your foot, because there's just so many freebies that are involved with credit cards.
Yeah, what's one of your go-to credit cards that you enjoy?
So I have a few, but my go-to credit cards, I cycle 3 cards: the American Express Gold, the Chase Sapphire, and then I'll mix between the Business Inc. or the Hilton Honors.
Okay.
Those are the 3. If I had to only pick one, I would go with the Chase Sapphire, because the Chase points you get more value out of those.
Yeah, is that heavy metal card? Is that Chase one? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. The Chase Sapphire Preserve is metal, and then the American Express Gold, they just revamped and made it metal as well.
Yeah, what's the credit? I mean, I've had bad credit before, man, and it's been rough where you get a high APR and you don't have that much credit limit, but it seems like once you build up your credit and it goes higher, there's really a lot of perks. What do you think the credit score range is in order to get the ones that you listed that you have to be at?
Yeah, so most of these cards are a credit score of 680. Um, yeah, definitely. Unless you're doing like uh, the lower end cards, but just to be safe, we're gonna go ahead and say around 680. 680 to
Okay.
750 is your auto approve,
Okay.
and you can actually sign up for the site creditkarma.com,
Mhm.
and it doesn't do any hard pulls. It doesn't mess up your credit. You can
Yeah.
sign up for that, and they will monitor your credit. They'll recommend
Mhm.
what's good and how to up it or not.
Yeah, is that American Express? Do you have to pay it in full monthly?
Yes, the American Express Gold is a charge card, so you must pay the balance off in full
Okay.
every month. But regardless, you should be using these credit cards like a debit card, and you should be always paying it off in full, unless you absolutely can't. But I just don't recommend that. You'll get into more debt and you're going to work backwards. So pay it
Yeah.
off full always.
So, are you a fan of the Marshalls credit card? Are you? And I know Burlington just came out with one, but do you see those credit cards that they have some type of benefit for you, or do you feel because of the volume you're doing that the ones that you have work best?
Yeah, so the ones for me personally, I don't have any of the Marshalls, Ross, Burlington cards.
Yeah.
I do think they're good cards, because if you think about the perspective of like you spend 200, I'm not sure if Marshalls is 200. Every
Yeah.
200 you get $5 or $10, something like
100.
that. 100.
I think it's one or it's I think for every 100 you buy in the store, you get like 5% back or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. So essentially, you could kind of get free inventory at that
Mhm.
particular store. Um, but I think that's a great card if you're reselling, and it's not a bad. If it doesn't have like a annual fee, then it's great.
Yeah.
Why not get it? Let's throw it in the arsenal. And when we go to
Okay.
Marshalls, we use that card. When we go to Burlington, we use that card. But
Okay.
if you're gonna pay annual fees, then I think you should get a better card that can offer more. And for me particularly, I'm a big traveler. That's why I like the cards. That's why I get the cards for traveling purposes. So the Amex Gold and the Chase Sapphire Reserve, preferred and reserve. There's two different ones, but they're both good. Um, they have more travel benefits. So that's why I would go with
Yeah.
those.
And I think with the Chase Sapphire, I think you can transfer points if you wanted to for airline purchases as well.
Yes, they do have
Yeah.
transfer partners, which are the best way to get the most out of those points.
Yeah.
If you transfer those points to a transfer partner that they have, you get more value out of them, and you get to almost double up your money. Well, it's like 2 cents per dollar instead of 1 cent
Yeah.
per dollar.
Yeah, it's not bad. And I think for a lot of resellers, if you're at that point where you have good management skills, you're using your debit card or you're using cash, I would open up a credit card and just use that as a debit card and you'll start to get some benefits because I have a Marshalls card and I only use it at Marshalls, but I was getting like 60, $70 in
Mm-hmm.
in like gift cards. And I can use that to buy inventory, or maybe I see a shoe where it's like, it's not worth 60, but it's worth 50, you know?
Exactly.
And so you
Exactly.
can do that, or if you want to buy, your family a gift, the wife a
Yeah.
gift, the girlfriend a gift, it's not
Mhm.
really costing you. So
Yeah. And I think the most like beautiful thing about credit cards is the way that as a reseller you can utilize them, right? So I think it's critical to kind of cater them to you, but each credit card has a category that gets an amplified amount of points, right? So the Amex Gold is 4 points per dollar on food. So when you're out reselling and you're gonna buy food, if you go buy, because as me personally is reselling, I buy a lot of food outside. I'm never at home eating.
yeah,
So regardless, I'm gonna buy food outside. So why not earn points for buying that food, and it's 4 points per dollar. If you spend, $500 a week, that's amplified by 4. The business card is for shipping, so you're gonna pay shipping regardless. Why not get points for it? I think the Hilton is giving 5 points for food and gas, so you're gonna pump gas regardless. Why not amplify it? And if you do all these things, you're gonna lump up enough points because regardless, you're spending it either way, right? You're gonna do it. It's just a matter of, are you willing to get benefits for spending that money? And then at the end of the year, you'll have a big lump, and you can go take your family out to different, for a big old vacation. Or you can do what I did, and when I went to Chicago, I used points to rent a car. So the car rental was completely paid for because I used my points, and I got to go raid the entire state,
Yeah, I like the fact that you brought that up and you're explaining it that way because with my wife, we'll go shopping and I'll say, oh, well, check this store or check that store. And it's not that you're being cheap, but my philosophy is that in life, you want to make the right decision, whether you're saving 5 cents or 10 cents. And I get it. It's a small amount. But the main takeaway is that we walked away making the right decision. So I was at Costco yesterday, and for my daughter, we feed her formula, so we buy water from Costco. And so I saw there was a pack of water that was like 21 liters, and then there was another one that had 6 gallons. And so I said, I'm going to do the math. I'm going to do the conversion, Los. And so I did the conversion, and they were both the same price. But since I went with the 6 gallons, I got half a liter more. but for me, I felt good because I made the right decision. And so in business, you want to make the right decision, and I think that's key. Now, it's 2019. We're recording this. It's towards the end of the year. Can you talk about like your biggest L and then also your biggest W for the year?
For sure. All right. So which one you want to hear first?
Let's start with the lost.
Let's start with the big old L. So, okay, the L that I hate the most, right? Yeah. I'm not sure if it was this year, but I'm just gonna go with general L because I hate these things. The monopoly for millennials, the big old, everyone posted that and they're like, oh, and they just like blew up. So I hopped on that bandwagon and I said, let me go out and get myself some monopolies, and I don't do I should have known because I never do Walmarts. I never go into Walmarts to resell. I know people do it. I don't. I was like, all right, your boy's he's gonna go out of his way. He's gonna innovate a little. He's gonna get dangerous with it. I'm gonna get dangerous with it. And I went and I hit a Walmart and I found like 30 of them. And I was like, your boy's rich. Your boy's rich. And then I got hooked and I said, this is easy. They're only $20 a pop. And then I went out to another Walmart, bought another like 30, 40, 50. Next thing I knew, I had like 200 of those, right? And I'm like, that's it. I'm rich. I made it. Yeah. Well, little did I know that those things would be bricks, bro. They went straight down. And I couldn't sell them on Amazon because they put some restriction on it. And I had to wait like 30 days for me to like get approved or whatever, something like that. And so to this day, I still have 200 of those bricks. Straight L on all of them. Yeah. They're just sitting there collecting dust, not up anywhere. If anyone wants to buy them, let me know. Bail me out.
Holla at your boy, man. Hey, so did you think about returning them to Walmart?
I did, but I don't have the receipt. I couldn't find it. And I was like, maybe you get credit or something. And people did DM me and they're like, dude, I think you can get credit.
Yeah, you get store credit.
Yeah, but I never return anything. I probably should because it's kind of dumb of me not to, but I never ever return stuff like shoes, nothing. But
yeah, with a lot of these big retailers, depending on the credit card you use, you insert it, they'll scan it, and they'll pull up the receipt.
Look at
now,
that.
Yeah, for big companies like Burlington is not on that train. Marshall's where you source, but if you go to Target, Home Depot, Lowe's, those guys, they'll pull it up. So what's the biggest W?
And the biggest W, I haven't sold it yet, but I'm gonna consider it my biggest W because I'm waiting. Is the you know the Jordan 1s, the Travis Scotts?
Yes.
Those, the Jordan 1 Travis Scotts, the brown and white ones. I woke up. I always take L's on sneakers, just like everybody else. And for some reason, I think it crashed that day or something. And I sat there for 30 minutes relentlessly, keep trying to check out. And I finally cooked, baby.
Yeah.
I finally cooked. So your boy got a W.
Yeah.
I don't care if anyone else got it or there's something better. I got my W on sneakers. That's my biggest win.
Yeah. What size, man? I hope you didn't get a 17 or 18.
Now I got a 10.5, which is
Nice.
solid.
Yeah.
Popular
Solid,
size.
man. Yeah, keep us posted on that, man. So something that we're doing on this show, Los, for season 2, it's called Rapid Fire. So I'm gonna give you a word, and then first thing comes to mind, you just spit it out, man. It's a family show, okay?
Dangerous. Dangerous.
All right.
Dangerous.
You ready for this one?
I'm not ready to shoot it.
All right. American Express.
Gold and big sign up bonus.
Nice. Discover.
Not that great.
Okay.
Not a fan. Not a fan.
Okay.
You said first word. First
whatever.
word.
Yeah. You're an innovator. You do whatever you want. You do whatever you want.
We just change it. First thought. First word. Okay. First word is thought. We'll just do thought. We'll keep it rolling.
Okay. How about Visa?
The Chase cards. Chase Sapphire.
MasterCard.
You're losing money.
How about Burlington card?
I went blank on this one. Burlington card. I don't know. I don't got anything for this one.
The Marshall card.
Good card. Decent.
Okay. That's all we got, man. It was just you're the credit card guru, so I figure I'd throw them your way.
I feel you.
Awesome, man. Where can people find you on social media?
People can find me at Relentless.Resell. That's on Instagram. YouTube, I'm going to start probably this week, today. We'll see. Probably by the time this is up. You can find me right now. It's Innovator Los is my YouTube channel. And those are the only 2 platforms I have.
Okay. Awesome. Now, last question. What have you learned this year?
This particular year, I have learned that you have to be very self-driven. You have to be motivated in this game, be patient, and you have to set goals and only challenge yourself. Don't compare yourself to others, because that's something I did last year and it didn't really go that well. But this year I've compared myself just to me, set my own goals, been motivated, not worry about anyone else. And it's finally kind of the year I've been the most happiest. So that's what I.
Yeah, I like how you said don't compare yourself to others, but I think it's okay to be encouraged from other resellers. But yeah, you definitely don't want to compare yourself to the next man, because I think you'll always lose, because there's always someone better than you.
Yeah, for sure. There is, and it's only brings you down a little. So be encouraged by others, definitely be kind of motivated by others. That's a beautiful thing. But me personally, I've learned to kind of like focus, be driven, and kind of like, drive myself, not try to compare myself in a bad way to others.
Awesome. Relentless.Resell, aka the Innovator. Thank you for being on the show today, man.
For sure, Val. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, let's break the internet, man, with this one.
Let's hope so.
Thank you to the audience for tuning in. You can find today's guest on Instagram at Relentless.Resell. You can visit the show's website at aresellersjourney.com, where you can find a link to my Instagram at eBayJoey and the show at A Reseller's Journey. If you like what you're hearing, don't forget to subscribe and follow on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Remember, never forget why you started. Los, let them know how you say it in Spanish.
What do you mean? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
You can say it in Spanish. Never forget how you started.
Nunca se te olvide cómo empezaste, papá.